Alright guys, so got the upper timing cover off, got the power steering off. There was two bolts right there, one on the bottom, and then like this adjusting nut right there that holds it in place. So now that's free. Left all the lines connected so I don't have to deal with power steering fluid. But it does look like, get this thing out of the way, that bracket right there that the power steering was being held on with right here probably needs to come off. So that's probably what's next here. I don't know if it has to come off, but I think it's going to be very convenient with it off, as well as the motor mount right there. So that's the next couple steps. So I'll get you guys back on in here when that's done. All right guys, so I'll show you where I'm at so far. I've now got the balancer off, which is right here. So in case you're wondering, this just pulls off a couple hits with a rubber mallet, made it come off no problem. So now as you can see, the harmonic balancer is gone. All the belts are off. So what I had to do was move the power steering, get that belt off, and then also the alternator. Loosen that up. There's just one bolt that holds the tension in place. You can unbolt that and loosen that. And right here is another tensioner for the AC. So if you loosen that, you can move it up and down and get that one loose. I just pulled mine completely out. Seems to be in good working order, so it'll probably go back on. So all the belts are off, the harmonic balancer's off. The next thing would be to access that inside the lower timing cover, get all the bolts off from there. So that's the next thing. Let you know if I run into any issues. Alright, so when you look at this timing cover, you can see there's a nut, there's a bolt right there, there's a bolt right there, there's one right there that I'm having a hard time with, but I'll talk about later. And there's one, you're not going to be able to see it in this video, but it's right here, and it's hiding behind the oil dipstick. So if you're wondering why your timing cover is not coming off, there is one more bolt behind the oil dipstick. So the oil dipstick just pulls straight out. Oh, it fell out, cool. It's just suctioned in at the bottom with an O-ring. It just pulls right out from the top. You can prop it loose, pull it out, and there's a bolt behind there. So that was also, I also had to remove the tensioner for the AC belt. So I had to remove that, and then this bolt is behind that. So be aware of how many bolts there are when you're doing this. All right, guys. I've got the lower timing cover out of the car now. So I'll kind of go through where all the bolts were. I think there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on here. There's 2 down by the crank, right there and right there. There's this one hiding behind the oil pump, or the oil dipstick. And there's one right above it. I don't know, you might be able to get this one from the top. I don't know, I got it from the bottom. There's one right there. And there's one up here, more in the middle. I ended up getting that one from the top. All the other ones I got from the bottom. It's dirty on the inside. I expected much worse though. There's a little oil right there actually. So it wasn't actually leaking inside the timing cover. It was only leaking just out where the oil pump meets the seal. So we can go under the car and we'll take a look at that right now. Let me toss these in here. Got a lot of hardware and nuts and bolts and things that are loose, so gotta be pretty careful with how you store everything. Alright. So now you can take a look. There's the pulley that runs off of the crank. There's the tensioner up top. So I think if I loosen that, I'll be able to loosen the timing chain. And also I think there's a crank position sensor right there. Then the oil pump is behind it. Let me position this light here a little bit. Oh, all right. And all of this behind is the oil pump. So you can actually see there's a seam line right there, a seam line on the other side, and my car is leaking where it meets the block right there at the top. That's where it was leaking from. So it's either pumping it in or out of the engine from right here, so it's under a lot of pressure and it's coming out quick. So yeah, I'm going to take this sensor off. I'm going to loosen the pulley, take the timing belt off, and the next step is the oil pump, and then that'll be it. So stay tuned for that. All right, so loosening this pulley right here. There we go. There's the light. Loosening this pulley right there allows you to pull the timing belt off. I quickly realized that the crank is very free to move in this state, so be very careful. You want to make sure that you do set it so that the keyway, let me get the light over here, so that the keyway here on the top is up at the top. And so if your timing belt was not broken when you started this, there's an indicator on the cam gear that also says up. So if you manage to do that, you should be able to realign everything. So if it says up at the top and you got your keyway up, pointed straight up, you should be all right. So do that as a plan ahead of time before removing this belt and disconnecting the cam from the crank. Now it looks like all I've got are the bolts holding the oil pan on. I've also got to do where the oil pickup is down here, and we should be able to pull this thing off. All right, so I got going on loosening these bolts on the oil pump and found that this one right here, which is right where I'm leaking, was very loose. So I don't know if that was the root cause here, but I'm going to replace the O-ring in here anyway, as well as this seal. Put this oil pan back, but this bolt I loosened by hand. So this was not from me using a ratchet or anything like that. This is basically exactly how it came from removing the timing chain. So there it is. Was that the problem? I don't know. Likely that ring is blown out, but we'll find out. So let me get this oil pan off and we'll take a look. All right, guys, so get the light again. Upon cracking the bolts right here to remove the oil pickup, I got a good amount of oil come pouring out of there. I was a little too late to catch it. Just keep that in mind, I guess. Wow. All right. Let me get back at it. All right, so I've got the water pump out. And it was pretty clear that it was leaking from this O-ring. Here's the O-ring that was inside. This is going from the oil pump. It picks it up and then it pushes it into the motor from right through here. So on my car, it was leaking out the top, right there, and running down the front and all over. That's definitely where it was leaking from, I think, from this point. This gasket is very hard, so no wonder it was leaking. You could also see that there was no silicone up here at the top. There was silicone around the rest of it, but not right here. So it was either worn away from the oil or if there was never a good seal there, I don't know. But pretty confident that that's what it is. That this O-ring came out pretty easy. Just used the pick and picked it out. Same thing with this seal in the front. I just pulled it out and it came straight out. So both of these are going to be replaced. I see no reason in replacing the oil pump. It should continue to provide good oil pressure for a long time to come here. So I am going to replace the timing belt, but not the tensioners. I do believe that it had been replaced recently, but since I'm in there, I'm going to do the belt. Not going to bother with the tensioner. It seems to be brand new to me. The bearings seem good. So yeah, as you can see, it's been a long day. I think it's right around 4 o'clock. Now I started around 8:30. But now we're at the cleanup point and the reassembly. So I'm pretty happy about that. I have no idea whether AutoZone's gonna have the pieces that I need. Hopefully they do. So yeah. Let's see. That's it, guys. I'll bring you back for the reassembly and the test. So the test will be the interesting part. We'll keep that in this video. We'll see if it holds oil, you know. I'm gonna look forward to keeping this car out in the driveway. It'll be nice. So it's day 3 of trying to fix this oil leak. Got everything back together, ran the car and checked it for leaks, and unfortunately it was leaking from the oil pan. From probably, you know, a 2 or 3 inch section, it was spraying it out a lot and heavy. I don't know why. I don't know any solution other than to take the oil pan back off and try and reseal it and see if that helps. So that's what we're going to do today. I don't think we're going to actually see anything. I don't think the gasket's going to be out of place, but it's possible that it could be. And if it is, that's hopefully just a quick fix of resealing it, putting it back on, and then we'll have a leak-free car that can get approved for track use and autocross and things like that, and be able to be parked in the driveway. So I'll keep you updated on how that goes, and hopefully today we can fix this oil problem and get this car back on the ground. So stay tuned. Alright guys, quick update. Getting the oil pan out and getting the gasket out. I tore the gasket, so I got a brand new gasket. There was nothing that was absolutely clear as to why it was leaking. I had put a little bit of silicone on before, which is the reason why I tore the first gasket. So for this one, I'm going to try it without the silicone. That's how it was from the start. I thought the silicone would be an added benefit, but maybe it's really not. I've always thought that it would help you, but maybe it's to a disadvantage to do that on things that don't absolutely need it. So I think it'll be real quick and easy to get this pan back in there, especially without having to apply silicone and all the things like that. We'll see if that helps. If it was just a gasket, or maybe it was just a silicone. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, guys. So got the new pan on. No silicone on the oil pan gasket, and that seems to be working. Car's still warming up right now, so we'll see if I get anything when the car's warm. to double check the oil level in a minute, make sure it's topped off and full, and we'll see. So this is really just coming down to whether it's going to start leaking or not. So we're going to find out though. I'm going to let this thing run until it's all the way warm, then let it keep running after that too, to see if we can get this thing approved. So stay tuned for that. We'll see. I'll let you know. So in case you guys are wondering, all the work here took, I'd say, about 16 hours. So you got to make sure that you can commit that time. I did this probably over about 3 or 4 days, with probably about a 3 or 4 day break in between, waiting for the O-ring for the oil pump. So I did not try and do this in just 2 days. So I had the luck of being able to not have to go to work for a little bit and be able to do this project. So if you're looking to take it on, it took me about 16 hours. You might be a little faster, you might be a little slower depending on your skill. I am definitely an amateur, so if that's what you are, expect to take about that same time. Alright guys, well, as you can see in the back, the car's running in the driveway. I've got a piece of cardboard down there right now just to make sure that there isn't any drips, but it's been running for 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that, and there's not a single drop down there yet. So I really think this has worked, and the car is not going to be leaking any oil anymore, but only time will tell, I guess. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Feel free to ask any questions in case I've left anything out. And let me know if you want to see more videos on the Del Sol. So it's got a long way to go to be a nice looking car, but I would like it to turn it into something a little more than what it is, a little more than just a stock Del Sol. But let me know if you would want to see something like that in the videos, some videos of that.